Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to this special AM episode. It's an extra, and we've got some good stuff for you today. A couple topics I want to get to, and we're also going to answer a bit of your mail. We've gotten a ton, especially viewers who want to know how do they speak to their Harris-supporting children or relatives or friends who are completely in the doldrums right now about her loss. And there are lovely people out there who are looking to get past this and have a relationship and make people they care about feel better. And we can talk about that. Okay, but I want to get to a couple stories first that deserve all of our attention. First, we had great news in the fight to get boys out of girls' sports this week, in addition to President Trump winning, which is going to really, really help. But there was a massive legal ruling on a story that we've been watching and following very closely here at the MK Show since we were a baby, since we launched back in September of 2020. So as you know, I live in Connecticut now, and in September 2020, I still live in New York, but we were moving here. And this story was making national news. There were runners, young female runners in the public schools in Connecticut who had been saddled with boys running against them in track and field. And these brave young women stood up to say, this is not fair. They're taking our medals, our first place finishes. They're taking our scholarships, and we can't win against them. This is totally unfair. And they ultimately filed a lawsuit with the help of Alliance Defending Freedom. Love ADF. If you want to give money to support a group, that's a great one. And they bumped right into this absolute douchebag of a judge. This guy is a jerk. He's on the U.S. District Court in Connecticut, and his name is Judge Robert Chatigny, Chatigny, a Bill Clinton appointee. Now, in the spring of 2021, we had on the girls, and they told us firsthand why they were suing, and it's for all the reasons I just discussed. And then their lawsuit moved through the process. They came back on in 2023. Their lawsuit at that point had been dismissed by this jerk, and they were seeking an appeal with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which is a federal court of appeals right underneath the U.S. Supreme Court. You know, they're all across the nation, and that's the last stop before you get to the U.S. Supreme Court. And they outlined some of the reasons why, again, that they were involved in this lawsuit to begin with. We chose a soundbite from that episode because by that point we had video and you might want to see them. It's episode 567, and here are Chelsea Mitchell and Alana Smith.
So my sophomore year, actually, Terry raced on the boys' team in the indoor season, and then in the outdoor season switched to the girls' team. Terry was blowing us girls out of the water. I mean, I remember at the state open championship, and Terry won by like over half a second to the second biological male, and then me and the other female finishers were after them. But the both of them just blew us out of the water consistently.
Yeah, it was so frustrating because I used to spend hours a day at track practice just to shave off, tenths of a second, hundredths of a second. Track is a sport where just like a little bit of time off is huge. And it was just so frustrating to line up and just feel like I was racing for second place. And even if I was trying my hardest, I knew that I wasn't going to get the top spot. And then just to know that me and the other girls we didn't have a level playing field.
This is so annoying. They had to race against these boys posing as girls because it's the Connecticut state policy. Connecticut, along with almost 24 states, have a policy that requires you to be able to race in the sport and in the league that aligns with your gender identity as opposed to biological sex, which is a blatant violation of Title IX. It is a violation of girls' equal protection rights. All of this is going to get reversed. It's going to get reversed thanks to Trump and thanks to the courts and thanks to this U.S. Supreme Court. So these girls filed a lawsuit trying to say all of that. And this jerk judge rejected the lawsuit, threw it out. And let me just give you a little color about this guy's ruling, which came down in April of 2021, right around the time when they first came on the show. Alliance Defending Freedom came out and said that this judge would not allow them, as the lawyers for these two girls, to refer to the biological boys as biological boys. The judge required them to call the biological boys females, which the lawyers made the point that obscures the entire issue that has brought us into court here, Your Honor. The whole question is, should biological boys be allowed to play in girls' sports? And here are all the reasons why they shouldn't. It completely muddies the waters to say, should females be allowed to compete against females in girls' sports? And this is something we've been talking about on this show for a long time, as you know, which is they try to control the language to already win the argument. If you cede the language, you've already lost the argument, especially on this issue. And therefore, you must fight over the language, including pronouns, even if it makes you feel impolite. If you don't, you're hashtag part of the problem. And this judge was hashtag part of the problem. He dismissed their case. So they appealed up to the Second Circuit. And when you first appeal, you get a 3-judge panel from the Court of Appeals. That panel ruled against the girls again. But the girls were not done. And Alliance Defending Freedom was not done. They appealed to the Second Circuit en banc, which means the entire Second Circuit, all of the judges who otherwise would make up random 3-judge panels, all of them hear the case and they agreed to take it. And guess what happened? They reversed. They won. The girls won in front of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which is huge. And then it went back down, as it must, to this Judge Chatagny, the guy who had originally dismissed the lawsuit. I mean, I just want you to know this is so egregious. This wasn't, not that it makes a difference whether the boys are on testosterone suppressing hormones. It doesn't make a difference. These boys had been through male puberty. If you're listening to us, go look at our youtube.com/Megyn Kelly. You will see these are boys who have been through boy puberty. They are very well developed. They look like boys. They're strong like boys. Their legs, their muscles, they're boys. And listen to this extra bit of color from one of the girls who was forced to race against them. Listen. Were there any requirements, in your state that you know of, that they reduce their testosterone, that they do something to reduce the biological advantage, as if we could get rid of all of them, but at least on the testosterone front, Chelsea?
No, the CIIC policy was pretty much just if you identify as a girl, then you can run on the girls' team. There was no policy that you had to lower testosterone or anything. So these two boys were racing as boys in the previous season, the year before, and had done nothing. Again, not that it would make the difference, but I guess you could make the case it would be better than running with your full testosterone and full male advantage as they were. And the Connecticut policy is that's fine. You're good. The girls need to compete against that. That's fair. So race after race, these girls saw just the glorious joy of winning slip away from them as an impossibility as they looked down at the start and saw two boys getting ready to win, though they gave it their all. So it goes back to this judge. And what happened last week was, reading here from Just the News, a chastened Judge Chatagny switched his stance and ruled that the amended complaint did plausibly allege disparate treatment under the law based on the female athlete's sex, saying the defendants are indeed potentially liable for discrimination under Title IX, and that the plaintiffs may be indeed able to recover damages, including attorney's fees and costs, depending on what happens in the course of discovery. Here, listen to this. Unlike in 2021, the judge's ruling is replete with references to biological sex. He even twice used the phrase biological males, which years earlier he had deemed needlessly provocative. In this case, how about that? The girls are asking for these nominal damages. They're not looking to get rich off of this. They just want this policy changed and declared unlawful. And they also want more than 40 state and local race track records revised.
removing the names of the two transgender athletes from their winning places and replacing them with the names of the female athletes who also competed but did not win. It's justice. This judge was forced. He's been brought to heel by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. It's a very liberal court, everybody. This is like the Ninth Circuit almost, that said you cannot do this. This is huge. And this judge was brought to heel to acknowledge there is such a thing as a biological male, and that is the language you must use in weighing the relative rights in this situation. So F you, Connecticut, and F you, Judge Chattigney, who only was forced to come around to reason. And F you to these boys who tried to run as girls and they knew it was unfair. And to the school that didn't create an open category and say, run there. There's two of you, you can run against each other. This is just so wrong on every level. And here's another piece of it that you need to know. This case got started under the Trump administration, number one, the first Trump administration. And the Department of Education was on the side of the girls and filed a brief through the DOJ. The Department of Education and the DOJ were on the side of the girls and filed in support of the girls saying, you have violated Title IX, Connecticut. This is not okay. And then we had a switch in administrations. Biden came in, Miguel Cardona came in, and they withdrew all of the government support. The DOJ was out, the DOE was out, and they actually took the other side of this issue. So these girls were left alone with, God bless, Alliance Defending Freedom to pursue this case in court, which they did. But as you can see, it was an uphill battle, and I'm sure it was an expensive battle, another reason to donate to Alliance Defending Freedom. And now, I mean, even before Trump gets back in office, but now they've won. They haven't won the whole case. They now they get a trial now and they get to make their case. And that's all they're entitled to. And that's great. They weren't kicked out just based on the papers by this judge saying, hey, Connecticut law says it's too bad. You have to suck it up. So now they get to go forward. And now, thanks to Trump coming back in office, he will make the necessary revisions to Biden's Title IX changes. He'll reverse them. And he will send his DOJ and his Department of Education in to support the girls like these who need help against woke schools, systems, states, and judges who want to tell them referring to these kids as biological males is needlessly provocative and you must lose just based on language alone. This is great. This is all going our way. This is before Trump gets in. We got a big ruling out of the Second Circuit back down to this judge who's been humbled and hobbled. And that's what's going to happen to all of you judges who continue to rule the wrong way. And you know what's even more beautiful? Will be when one of these left-wing courts like the Ninth Circuit or what have you rules the other way and it goes up to the Supreme Court. Oh, I hope it goes up to the Supreme Court because this court will rule in our favor. I realize that Judge Gorsuch cast the deciding vote saying you can't discriminate in the workplace setting against trans people. But he made sure to point out in that opinion that it did not apply to girls' sports. That was a separate issue that was not before the court. We have not lost on that issue before the highest court in the land, and we won't. We will not lose on that issue. I would love to see that go up ASAP. So it's great. We're winning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're winning the side of reason. The normies are restoring order, fairness, safety, and justice. Right on, Second Circuit, right on. Okay, there are still a lot of very abnormal, strange people out there, and that leads me to a woman, a writer named Emily Gold, who writes for New York Magazine and its publication called The Cut. Now, you may remember this woman. I believe we talked about her piece when it came out about the lure of divorce in February of 2024. 7 years into my marriage, she wrote at the time, I hit a breaking point and had to decide whether life would be better without my husband in it. In this piece, she goes through, this is the old one. I'm going to get to the new one in a sec. She goes through how in the summer of 2022, she lost her mind. Her words. First, she thought she was just overwhelmed because life had become difficult. And then it became clear it was more than that. To cope with the stress, I asked my psychiatrist, she writes, to increase the dosage of the antidepressant I'd been on for years. Sometime around then, I started talking too fast and drinking a lot. Drinking felt necessary. She goes on to say she would drink with breakfast, lunch, and dinner some days, which she would eat at restaurants, so the drink order didn't seem too unusual. Who doesn't have an Aperol spritz on the way home from the gym in the morning? I became convinced, too, that my marriage was over and had been over for years. I spent money like it was water, never budgeting, leaving my husband to make sure we made rent every month. She writes about how they had their last fight after a long day spent at a wedding upstate. I'd been drinking, spiked lemonade at lunch, alone, then boxed wine during the wedding reception, where I couldn't eat any of the food because it all contained wheat and I have celiac disease. Perfect, of course. Okay, so she's drinking too much. She's, of course, allergic to wheat and she has celiac disease. She's depressed and on antidepressants, and she's got a psychiatrist. These are the things we've learned about her so far. She tells her husband it's over, really over, the definitive moment I'd been waiting for. I had a concrete reason to leave because her husband, I guess, wasn't paying her enough attention and was giving her some hassle about her finances. My therapist and my psychiatrist, okay, so it's more than just the psychiatrist, both urged me in no uncertain terms to check myself into a psychiatric hospital. It's not going well here for Emily. Therapist, psychiatrist, marriage in disarray, drinking breakfast, lunch, and dinner, on an antidepressant, had to increase the dose. Celiac disease is yet another alleged problem. And then they started her on lithium right away. In a meeting with my team of psychiatrists, now it's a team, they broke the news. I had bipolar disorder. They weren't sure which kind. And into the inpatient psychiatric facility she went, where she insisted that her mother and her husband were not allowed to visit her. Instead, at some point, she got out and she decided to do couples therapy with the husband. So now we've had a psychiatric institution, a team of psychiatrists, a therapist, an antidepressant, alcohol, morning, noon, and night, celiac disease, cutting off the mother, cutting off the husband, and then a re-entry by the husband in couples therapy. My husband would have to forgive me for cheating. Oh yeah, I forgot. She cheated. She cheated on him. He would have to forgive her for doing that and for wasting our money. And I would have to forgive him for treading on my literary territory, our family's life, my own life. He would have to forgive me for having a mental breakdown, leaving him to take care of our family, etc. And I would have to forgive him for taking for granted that I would be available on a sick day or to do an early pickup or watch the baby while he wrote about our other child. Okay. I read all that because you need to know who Emily Gould is before I tell you the following fact. She is now an advice columnist for New York Magazine. Oh, God. This is the same way they make all the kids write about their severe traumas and adverse childhood experiences and how effed up they are in order to admit them into the Ivy Leagues. You write your admissions essay about what a well-adjusted kid you are, what a loving family you have that's taught you to love yourself and America and be open-minded to different points of view. You're out. You can forget it. But I guarantee you, lithium, inpatient, cheating, SSRIs, and celiac disease, you sail right in. Welcome to Yale. So Emily is now doing advice columns at The Cut. And that leads me to this particular piece of advice. The headline is, "My daughter's New York City public school teacher supports Trump." Dun, dun, dun. There's the big reveal. Of course, everybody who reads New York Magazine has the same reaction, which is, oh my God. Oh, go on. We understand where this is going. Dear Emily, you tell me who's crazier, the writer or Emily. I'm struggling with how to respond to a recent incident at my daughter's New York City public school. She said her 9th grade English teacher made all the students in the class watch Trump's acceptance speech. What? The next president of the United States, you say? They forced the children to lay eyes on him and ears too? And not just that, but take notes on his values and then ask them to pay particular attention to how positively the crowd responded during his speech. I mean, how soon can we fire her? What? They had to watch the next president, take notes on the values he was expressing, and to pay attention to how the crowd responded. I mean, what have we come to in this country? I was waiting for more. Like what? Then did she say how right he was, how unfairly he's been characterized? No, that's it. I've completed now the list of offenses that this teacher committed. Though the teacher did not say anything directly about how she voted, my daughter said she's a known Trumper. And so I can only assume her intention, was in some way to promote his ideas. Promote or just explore, just present, because there's a difference. Present, and to call their attention to the fact that, as the results have made clear, there are millions of people who do support him. Perhaps we'd spend a minute seeing why. What is it he's saying, and how are they reacting? That is not promotion, madam. It's presentation and an airing that most of these students will never get. Trust me, I was in the New York City schools. I was there in those privates. When my daughter and many of the other students voiced their objections and said they found this exercise upsetting, it's upsetting. The teacher said it was her lesson and she would teach the class the way she wanted. They had to do it. One brave student got up and left the room to go to the principal's office and was not required to go back to class. Of course, the principal was like, "You stay here, sweetheart. That is traumatic. Hold me, hold me." At 14, my daughter is old enough to be politically aware and was excited by the possibility of electing our first female president. She was extremely sad that Kamala lost. Of course, as a family, we share her views. I wish the teacher had given the students the space and time to decompress after such a divisive election. No matter how the kids felt about the outcome, I'm not totally sure how to tell my daughter she needs to respect and listen to this teacher after she acted with so little empathy toward her own students, the way she made them look at and listen to Trump. What do I do now in terms of talking to my daughter about how to tough out the rest of the year in this teacher's class? Or if I can make myself take on having the conversation of talking to the school. I just don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I can't talk about Trump and this incident. Signed, can't believe I have to deal with this right now. Can't believe I'm going through enough. Got to shave off my hair, get my big glasses, post on the internet, find my chastity belt, get the abortion pill. I've got enough to deal with, Emily. Now, do you think Emily responded, "Dear, can't believe I have to deal with this right now. You and your daughter need to toughen up. Diverse viewpoints are what make the world go round. Your teacher didn't push a particular POV on the students. She just introduced them to their next president and let them hear from him directly before he takes the oath of office. You should show them controversial Trump videos if that's what you want them to know, or Kamala Harris videos if you want them to see what they missed out on. But the answer is not to stifle any discussion of politics or the news in class." That's not how it went, folks. Emily responded, "Waking up to the news last Wednesday that Trump won the election was brutal enough already. I know as a parent, it was difficult for me to go through the motions, to answer my kids' questions, to get through drop-off without bursting into tears once or twice. I mean, it might have been the lithium, Emily. You should call your team. I'm so sorry your daughter had to deal with this added burden. From what I've heard from parents with school-age kids, most teachers handled the situation with appropriateness and grace. They set aside class time for kids to discuss their feelings in a non-confrontational, non-partisan way. Too bad this isn't what happened for your daughter. It's also the school's fault. And if you can't find the energy to take it up with them, I think you definitely should. Basically, we need you. We need you, can't believe. We do." when you're strong enough, go to the administration and calmly, factually lay out exactly what you think the teacher did that was inappropriate. Be ready to counter them by asking you how you'd feel if Kamala Harris had won and your daughter's English teacher had taken class time to let the students watch her victory speech. Don't you let yourself get sidetracked, though, by the fact that this comparison isn't just apples and oranges. It is apples and convicted felons. That's literally in the piece. I'm quoting. It's not apples and oranges. He is an orange, but he's a convicted felon orange. That's the relevant point. Instead, calmly point out that this teacher didn't just have the students watch the speech. She made them take notes on his values. I've got news for you, Emily and unnamed mother. That could be his values suck. He's saying things about immigrants I don't agree with. He seems to be against me on the trans issue. Whatever the values are that you've definitely instilled in these children in the New York City system, he could be opposed to them, and you might actually hear that when you hear him speak. How is telling the students to take notes on his values in any way an indoctrination attempt? And, she goes on, the teacher drew attention to the positive crowd reaction. Frankly, in New York City schools, that was probably an attempt by this teacher to show how many of them are also Nazis. Like, honestly, it could easily be going the other way. You can draw nothing from any of this. Or it could be a teacher who's more fair and balanced, trying to let the students know half the country does love him. See how they react? That's how we got Trump. When everyone around you is saying, how did he win? You can say, well, he's got a lot of supporters. I saw how they clapped. This is not indoctrination. It is education. Fine. Does it need to happen in an English class? I'm with you on that. Probably not. It's a current events thing or a government thing, maybe social studies. I'll give you that point, which comes up next in her response. Then she goes on. But by the way, can I just say something on that? Because it actually does, she says in here, none of this has anything to do with teaching English. It all amounts to what I'd consider to be a breach of trust. I mean, this is very rich coming from the math is racist crowd. Remember all the videos we've seen of students at MIT standing up to protest the Palestinian thing? And all the memes about how 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, and if you think it does, you're racist. I mean, DEI and this nonsense has made its way into every single class our kids take. PE, art, song, you name it. And in English classes across America, both at the high school level and in college, they are pulling anything written by a white man out because DEI must rule everything. So if you're going to stick your political agenda into every class, other than current events, be prepared when some rogue teacher decides to counterbalance it with one night of watching a Trump speech. Anyway, she goes on to say the following. Now it's on the administration to find a way to reestablish trust between these teachers and the students. If this teacher goes on to assign essays about how Trump is making America great again, for example, your daughter's within her rights to refuse to do the assignment. And of course, if she and her fellow students are comfortable doing so, they are well within their rights to take their grievances to the administrations themselves. Take a moment here to congratulate yourself on being a good parent. Just like you, Emily, with all the lithium and the SSRIs and the inpatient stuff and all the boozing and the cheating. Okay, I mean, all right, it's a sliding scale. Then use that confidence to gather the strength and momentum you will need to get through the next 4 years. The lunatic left is alive and well and really grappling with what to do in the wake of this election. I don't think they're going to get over their TDS. And I don't think New York Magazine or any of the people who read it are reachable. I don't. I think they're the reason we're seeing picks like Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth and people who upset them for various posts because Trump and his team are done giving two Fs about how they react. They're not gettable. They're not reasonable. They really just have to be brought to heel, like that judge. They must simply be defeated. And if I were a Democrat trying to revive my party, I truly would just ostracize them, alienate them, like disown them in the way Republicans have diminished the Lincoln Project and these other never-Trumpers as really having nothing to do with them. That's their only way. Like Emily, yeah, she's not gettable, not with reason, not with lectures by Jim Carville about how wokeism need to go. These people need psychiatric help, maybe a different kind than she's getting, and really, frankly, to like rethink the way they're approaching life. Like, get outside more, maybe stop the alcohol and all that stuff, and the wheat problem might clear up. Consider changing your media diet. That's probably number one, to lower your stress and open your mind. And keep on trucking, because I think, while there might not be political reconciliation for you, there could be a world in which you don't get institutionalized regularly. So good luck, and we'll be right back. Let's be honest. The world is not getting any simpler. Whether it's a natural disaster, a supply chain issue, or just a nasty virus, things happen that we simply cannot control. But what we can control is how prepared we are. And we have seen time and time again that preparation is key. It's about being proactive, not reactive in an emergency. And this is where the Jace case comes in. The Jace case is an emergency kit with prescription antibiotics that cover a huge range of common infections. The Jace case takes the guesswork and the panic out of challenging situations. You will have the right medication when you need it. In times of uncertainty, you don't want to be dependent on outside systems. With the Jace case, you have a practical, reliable solution right at your fingertips. It's about taking control in a world that sometimes feels out of control. So don't wait until it's too late. Get prepared right now. Go to jase.com and enter MK at checkout. That's promo code MK at jase.com to get the right meds the moment you need them. This is about smart preparation for you and for your family's peace of mind. 4 years of crushing interest rates, runaway inflation, and reckless government spending, and who is paying the price? You are. You might have bills stacking up, debt collectors on your back. You might barely be able to keep food on the table. Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed new, aggressive strategies designed to get you out of debt permanently, without bankruptcy and without loans. Done with Debt stands between you and your bill collectors. They can go head-to-head with these creditors, getting balances reduced, interest rates slashed, and penalties stopped. They create a plan to end your debt fast and put more cash in your pocket every month. And right now, Done with Debt is accepting new clients, but you need to act fast. Some credit relief programs expire. Before you even make another payment, consider a visit to donewithdebt.com or call 1-888-322-1054 right now. Speak with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Now we bring you another edition of Thanks But No Thanks, where we say thanks but no thanks to a story bubbling up in the news. Today we're going to talk about a wholesome new movie that hits theaters next week called Wicked, a movie adaptation of the popular musical featuring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. It is a twist on the Wizard of Oz story focused on the two witches at the center of it all. Take a look at a little bit of the trailer.
The wonderful Wizard of Oz summons you to the Emerald City. Come with me.
What?
To meet the wizard.
I couldn't possibly. This is your moment. I'm coming.
See, it's just a sweet little film for the whole family, a PG rating, nice, innocent entertainment. And they've been promoting this thing like crazy, of course, for a Disney movie. I mean, you got to have your dolls. And Disney partnered with Mattel for Barbie-like characters, which you can see Grande and Erivo enjoying in a video they posted from July.
It's perfect.
Whoa!
May I try yours?
Yes.
Sorry, I need a moment. They're so tall.
They are.
They're quite tall.
So fun. Surely these product tie-ins will be hugely popular with the young, impressionable fans of the film as we approach the holiday season. But you see, there's just one problem. The front of the package, as it turns out, $25 for this thing, by the way, looks totally normal. But on the back, there's a website at the bottom for you to find out more about the movie, www.wicked.com, it says. But Wicked.com does not bring you to Disney's website for the film. Oh, no. It brings you to the website of the pornographic movie company, Wicked Pictures. For research purposes only, our executive producer, Steve Krakauer, was forced to go there last night. And what you will find is not Ariana Grande, but films like Sunny Gold Melons and Kenzie Loves Girls 2 splashed on the front page for little girls across America to go check out. To get to the film website, you need to go to www.wickedmovie.com. Well, this is a huge mess. On Sunday, Mattel was forced to issue a statement. Quote, Mattel was made aware of a misprint on the packaging of the Mattel Wicked collection dolls, primarily sold in the U.S. It said, we deeply regret this unfortunate error and are taking immediate action to remedy this. Parents are advised that the misprinted, incorrect website is not appropriate for children. Yeah, no shit, Mattel. You see, Wicked.com has all sorts of movies on it that seem like Disney films, but I assure you, they are not. You should not share these with your children. We asked our guests yesterday, the fellows from Ruthless, for their favorites behind the scenes. Holmes liked Cinderella XXX, while Duncan liked more of the new stuff and Captain Marvel's XXX. Ashbrook went with Snow White XXX. You sensing a theme here that the guys found appealing? These are all real movie titles that are being made available to your children if they click on this website. Smug picked Operation Desert Stormy, starring Stormy Daniels, of course, one of the dozens of movies you can find at Wicked.com, featuring the star of the New York business records trial against Trump earlier this year. Okay, I'm kidding. We didn't actually ask the Ruthless guys for their picks. I had you, though. Apparently, a lot of people are getting confused by the packaging mishap because, according to Variety, website traffic to the Wicked porn company is at its highest level in 12 years. The power of Mattel. So, go enjoy the movie if you would like with your kids, and buy the dolls if you like. You can find them at Target or Kohl's. But at the Megyn Kelly Show, where we keep things very wholesome, unlike those perverts over at Ruthless, we are saying thanks, but no thanks to the URL on the back of the Wicked box. Okay, before we go, I'm going to answer some of your questions. Let's hope they're PG-13, and you can submit them to Megyn, Megyn at megynkelly.com. I read them all. Now I'm joined by my executive producer, Steve Krakauer, who wrote that bit. Steve Krakauer, well done, my friend. Well done.
I really hope that Google understands that sometimes I have to do research that I'm not interested in. I have to look up weird movies, and it's part of my job. I'm not interested
I
in
hope
that.
your wife Megyn understands. Forget Google.
To clear my search history just in general with this job.
Well,
okay.
I just realized this. I just realized that, when you go on Twitter and people write the word pornographic if they're writing about a story, and they put a number, the number 0 instead of an O for porn, or they misspell it. I just now realized they do this so that the algorithm doesn't think they want those things served up to them. So we all need to take a lesson.
That's good advice. Okay, well, I'll have to learn that for next time. But right now it's too late. Okay, we've got some great questions.
That one was very funny, Steve. I have to say, very, very well done. How do you find these stories? I mean, really, it's a good. How do you find them?
Honestly, this one, the amount of promotion that they're doing for this Wicked movie is everywhere. And so the story is in a lot of places. This is a huge problem. These dolls are everywhere. Wicked.com. Do not go there. We would not suggest that.
No, do not. We are not looking to promote the website. Okay, but we are looking to promote our viewer mail, and we apparently got a ton of it over the past week, which I received a huge download. So Meg Storm will cull through a lot of them, and she sends me a huge download every Monday, and I love reading them. You know what I do is I put them. Everybody knows I love VoiceStream. I download them on VoiceStream, and then VoiceStream reads all the emails to me, which I love. But you've pulled some where people are actually looking for advice or an answer.
Yeah, and these first two are similar to a lot of emails. We got hundreds that fit in this general category. So one is from Ellen, who says, how do I talk to my 20-year-old niece who believes that the world has just ended? Which is an important one to know. And then Rebecca says, how do we move forward with our fellow Americans that are Kamala Harris voters?
Well, those are, similar answers to both of those questions. I really think, look, if I or trying to make my friends who are liberal feel better about Trump, I would say we've had 4 years of Trump before, we moved on, and the Democrats were back in power. And if you look at the history of our country, that's how this will go too. More than likely, Trump will do a bunch of controversial things that Republicans love. And then if history's any guide, the Democrats will vote Democrats back into power in the House or the Senate in the midterm elections. And the Dems will reclaim one of those bodies and will be able to thwart Trump's legislation. Right now, they don't have a filibuster-proof majority in the Senate. So the Democrats can thwart major Trump legislation that they feel is too right at this very moment. So the Republicans won, but they didn't win enough to really, push through all their favorites. And they only have a 4-seat majority in the House. So all that's good news to Democrats who want to see Trump stopped. The executive order game, that one's on for real. And it will make an impact, especially when it comes to immigration. But look, Trump issued a bunch of executive orders on immigration. Biden undid them all and had a massive impact on places like the border. And Trump's now going to try to reinstitute them, and then it will flip back the other way if, again, history's any guide, because the Democrats could win the White House in 4 years. So it's like, you just need to calm down. We have these 4-year terms in the White House for a reason. We only have 2-year terms in the House. So it really does allow one side to regain power. And also, take a deep breath and realize a lot of what you've been told about Trump is by crazy media people who just loathe him. Turn off MSNBC. Turn off CNN. Tell them every morning, and they're leftists, so tell them to do what I do. Listen to NPR and their little Up First, 15-minute broadcast, which is totally insufferable. I cannot stand it. More than anything, I hate their stupid, weird music. I hate the way it makes me feel. It resonates something deep in my soul that is very jarring, the way you'd feel if a serial killer came into your bedroom at night. I hate it. Okay, but I listen to it because I want to know what the left is saying and spinning. And then go get a broadcast like ours or like Morning Wire on the other side that will offer a more fair and balanced view of the news. And that way you can prevent yourself from being totally indoctrinated and rattled by news about Trump. But during the Trump presidency, the last thing these people should do is just consume a diet of MS or CNN or even the mainstream. It's only going to lead to more stress and consternation.
Good advice. I hope they take that. Got a long road ahead here, but it should be fun. It'll be fun to cover. Yeah. We got a lot of questions also about your appearance last week at the Trump rally. Jane says, flawless job at the rally, persuasive, smart, and well-delivered. And then she wants to know, what did Trump whisper to you when the two of you hugged at the end?
I don't remember specifically. I think he said something like, great job, thank you. He was very, very nice. He and I spoke beforehand, behind the scenes when I greeted him there, and that was really nice. We caught up. He was very, very happy with my appearance on Bill Maher, which I think I told you, and was saying all sorts of really, really nice stuff. He and I are in a good place, and so I enjoyed that. And after the actual speech, it was just pleasantries and then goodbye. So it was a thrill being up there. It was great to see him, and it was just, so much better to the next night watch the returns come in and see that man over the top and restored to power in a way that's going to make profound difference in the country.
That's great. All right, last one, a little fun here. Tracy says, you make a lot of movie references, and you do. That is definitely true. When do you have time to watch movies, and what is your favorite movie?
Well, you'll notice most of them are from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and early aughts. I used to have a life. Now I just consume news in almost all my waking hours. We all do. It's a sickness. Honestly, if you could see the amount of time. I've got a question for you, Steve. When you get your little notification from your phone about how many hours you've spent online on an average daily basis, do you get that thing? What is it normally?
Yeah. Well, I should just say, I have to be on my phone for the show because that's 3 hours a day right there. It's about 9 hours.
Yep. Same. Mine is at least 10 hours. You average 10 hours a day because I'm constantly listening to you on podcast, or I download so many news articles on VoiceStream and I have them read to me, or you can go to National Review Online. They already have the press play to have their articles read to you, which all of them should have. I wish all of them would do it. The New York Times does it. Wall Street Journal does it. Anyway, or you're on Twitter, it's or we're all texting, we have our producers text chain where we're all exchanging news. it's a full-time job. So I don't really have a lot of time for movies these days, but I do watch some Netflix. I'll tell you what we watched lately. I mean, all I did was watch TV growing up. I really didn't study. I didn't do that well in school. I had some friends, but we just watched it. It was the 70s. My mom paid no attention to me, so I watched TV and ate a lot of McDonald's. So now we watch some Netflix. Doug and I just watched, it came out a couple years ago, Escape at Dannemora, which is about those two prisoners who used that prison guard up in northern New York to help them break out of prison. And then they went on a whole wild goose chase with the cops. After this was over, Doug spoke to Sarah, my hairstylist, who she comes in the morning 3 days a week. And he said, Sarah, we're going to have a talk about curating our list that you recommend such that it doesn't have so many unattractive characters, and it certainly doesn't have them finding carnal knowledge of one another so frequently in the film. It was, I mean, I guess they were made to look unattractive because Patricia Arquette is not that unattractive. And it was so jarring. I did not need to see. It was like that wicked.com website, the scenes I saw in there. Putting that aside, it was interesting to watch that movie, and I enjoyed that. When it's available, we watched that show Severance, which I really liked. Also by the same director, by the way, Ben Stiller, who I can't stand his politics, but I'm enjoying his output. I'm not going to lie. Escape at Dannemora was a little slow. It was 8 episodes. It could have been done in 4. God, I don't know what else. Oh, we watched the Martha Stewart documentary. Steve, have you seen this?
I haven't seen it yet. I know. I hear more and more people watching it.
It's really good. I had no idea. Like all the stories about her, she's pretty frank about her foibles. She had an affair on her first husband, which it's amazing. She's like, her first husband, she says, cheated on her with this woman she brought on their property. As she puts it in the film, I gave him a snack, provided a snack for him on my own property. But she apparently cheated on him first. But there's a scene in which she's like, I guess I'm just a swan. I'm a swan who mates for life. And then he betrayed me. And the producers are like, well, you cheated with that Irish guy. And she's like, what? And she admits it. Like, well, so you're not a swan? Anyway, I loved it. But we don't have a lot of time. Long-winded answer to tell you, I don't have a lot of time for TV. If you've got any recommendations, though, I'm taking them. Megyn at megynkelly.com.
All right, we'll gather them for next week. We'll pass them along.
Cool. Thank you, Steve. Crack Hour. And good luck to you and your algorithm on your Google feed. Okay, so thanks to Steve and thanks to all of you for joining us today. We are back on Monday with Glenn Greenwald. He's back. Glenn is not out. Glenn is in, and he will be on the show Monday for reals. See you then. You know how much my family and I love our dogs, right? Yes, even Strudwick. I can't imagine life without them. But look, not all dogs are as lucky as my dogs are. And this is why I'm so glad to tell you about Delta Rescue. It's the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. These animals need help. And these guys have rescued thousands of dogs, plus cats and horses too. They provide all the animals with shelter, safety, and most of all, love. And they've been doing it now for more than 45 years. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions to stay open, and giving can bring tax benefits too. Speak with your estate planner about how you can grow your estate while helping these animals in need. And check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more. We love our Thunder and Strudwick, but would like other dogs who need love to find it too. Visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org.